In our last video, we stood at the layer to fork point and watched the AI economy split in two. Today, we are traveling down fork A, software AI, and we are tracking an economic event that is completely breaking traditional venture capital. We call it the collapse of intelligence. Over the last few years, the marginal cost of digital intelligence hasn't just dropped, it has cratered. We've seen a 500x collapse in token prices. What used to cost $60 now costs 6 cents. If you're an investor or an entrepreneur betting your future on a raw AI model, I have bad news. You are buying a commodity. Today, we are mapping out the blueprint of fork A. I'm going to show you why foundation models are facing margin death and where the real wealth is being captured. To understand fork A, you have to understand an economic rule from the 19th century called the Jevons Paradox. Historically, when a resource becomes highly efficient and incredibly cheap, we don't use less of it. We consume exponentially more of it. That is exactly what's happening in 2026. Because token generation is so cheap, companies like Google have seen their token processing volume explode by 134x in less than 2 years. But here's the trap. Revenue growth for pure infrastructure and model providers is lagging way behind. Why? Because efficient models, like the ones engineered by DeepSeek and other open source labs, have forced an 80 to 90% price war on standard inference. Raw tokens are now like electricity or water. When you turn on the tap, you expect it to work, but you don't care which utility company generated the electron. That is margin death, and it's why pure-play model labs are scrambling to vertically integrate with hyperscalers just to survive the capital intensity. Now, the market has bifurcated into two tiers: standard inference and premium reasoning. Standard queries are essentially free, but the real action is in reasoning models, like OpenAI's O1 series. A standard query takes 25 milliseconds. A reasoning query can consume 40 to 200 times more compute because it's generating tens of thousands of hidden chain of thought tokens before it answers. This has flipped the economics of fork A upside down. The industry is seeing a strict 80-20 rule. 80% of the query volume generates only 20% of the revenue. That's your cheap commodity tier. Meanwhile, 15% of the volume generates 60% of the revenue, the premium reasoning tier. If raw intelligence is free and reasoning is heavily subsidized by hyperscaler capex, where does an investor actually find a moat? The answer is the harness. Value in fork AA does not accrue to the model itself. The models are interchangeable. The real product is the environment, the memory systems, and the tool constraints built around the model. The winners in software AI are the companies building the orchestration layers that dictate how an agent behaves inside a specific corporate workflow. When you build a system that manages multi-step execution, interfaces with proprietary internal databases, and remembers context flawlessly, you create structural lock-in. The model at the center can be swapped out tomorrow morning, but the harness remains. The collapse of intelligence means the old world of licensing software is dead. Enterprise tech is shifting away from generic SaaS subscriptions and toward custom, logic-driven internal tools. It's what we call the machine that makes the machines. If you're building your wealth blueprint around fork A, stop looking at who has the prettiest chatbot. Look for the gatekeepers of the enterprise harness. But there's a catch. To build a perfect harness, an agent needs perfect data. And in 2026, the traditional systems we use to hold that data are completely broken. Next week, we step into layer 3, data. I'm going to show you why the traditional CRM is an absolute liability for autonomous AI, and how the rise of the customer dossier is changing everything. Are you betting on the software harness, or do you think the physical world is a safer play? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Sunny, And this is the Success Blueprint. See you in the next episode.